I have been shouting you out a few times already over the last weeks because you have been having just some really good months in your business, financially, financial success, and we're going to get there. Super happy for you, well deserved. But I kind of want to get started with where you came from and how it all started. And why did you start your business? Yes, let's start with that.
Okay. So I will try to get this as short as I possibly can because obviously I think we all know that there's a compiling effect when someone wants massive change in their life and is ready to create that. It's never just one catalyst. I think that we have to keep that in mind. Like everybody goes through something. Like we all have challenges. Every single one of us. It doesn't matter whether you're well off, whether you're not, whether we just all have those situations that push us to a breaking point where we're like, this has to stop. I had gotten pregnant with my fourth child and we were unable to make our mortgage. Like I was staying at home with my little, who was 3 at the time, and I had 2 other children, and we were so scraping by, like just barely, and selling things on Facebook, trying to make our mortgage, trying to get by. Everything got so expensive so quickly, and it was just like it snowballed, and we're like, oh my gosh. And I couldn't like bear the thought of bringing a child into the home and taking away from the children that I had, lessening our quality of life, and not even being able to provide for that kid. I was just like, I can't do this. And so I went looking for a way to start working from home because I was not, nor did it make sense. If I left the house with a 3-year-old and pregnant, knowing that I was going to have to go on maternity leave, I was going to have a baby, and then pay for what, 2 kids to be in daycare?
Yeah.
I didn't want that, like at all. We sacrificed our finances for so long for me to be home with our kids because that's what we valued. It was very important to us. And we just reached a point where we didn't know how to live on one income anymore, but I didn't want to go to work. And I have a degree. I have a great degree that I've never used because it didn't make sense to me to leave my kids at home or to pay someone else to raise them. It was just like, no, it's not important to me. We'll scrape by on what we can. And after I saw this opportunity, it just checked all the boxes. Everything that I looked at, Paula, everything was like, you have to be tied to a computer for 8 hours a day. You have to be on the phone for 5 hours a day. You have to show up for these hours. You have to pay for the certificate. You have to do all these things. And I was like, this doesn't even, like, no, what? I can't do that. There's no freedom in that. Just because I'm home, I have no availability for my life, for my children.
Right.
So for me, after searching for so long and being in that situation where I didn't have a dime to my name, I was so negative, like so negative. We didn't have a ton of debt because I wasn't utilizing credit cards. We just, we weren't in a financial situation for me to be taking advantage of that. And I think I was smart to not go upside down in that way, but I didn't have a credit score to like really make big moves. And I certainly didn't have any capital or savings or money to my name at all. I was on state assistance. Like that's where we were at.
And then how did you make it work?
I didn't give up. I think I saw no other way, really. I was like, this is the way out of this situation. So I'm going to make it happen. I went and asked family for help, for support. I did not have my husband's support at all. He was not interested in A, spending any money, or B, taking any time away from the family. I think it was a very prideful thing for him. He's like, no, I'm doing this. I got this. But he didn't, like he was trying his best, but he only has so many hours in the day. I wasn't about to let him go pick up a second job and be completely out of his kids' lives. So I went and got a loan, and from multiple places. I had one family member help me out, and then I went and was able to get a loan at my bank. And like, tell me that that's not scary. when you already have no money and then you sign up for payments
Yeah.
and then you owe family money, which even though some people may say, oh, well, that's great because, you know, you don't have interest, but the weight on your
Yeah, it
shoulder
doesn't
that you
feel.
have, no, it doesn't feel good. It doesn't feel good to ask. It doesn't feel good to know that you owe them something, anybody.
And then
So it was
not
hard.
and then not having the support of your husband kind of like over your shoulder is so uncomfortable. And yeah, but you knew where you wanted to go.
It was,
What would you tell someone,
gosh, it was,
what
I
would you
was
tell someone who has a great credit score or has savings but doesn't want to utilize that out of fear that it could go to waste?
a couple things. Your credit, it's a game. Credit in the US is a game. I don't know, I'm not familiar with it in any other countries, but it's there to be used. You need to use it. Productive debt is what every successful person uses. They go into debt. They have $1 million in debt and $1 million in their bank account, and that's how they utilize it to their advantage. And it's a huge tool. If you have even a decent credit score, you should absolutely be utilizing it. And now I'm at the point that I understand it, and I do. Any large purchase goes on a credit card, and then I pay it off the next month. You should be using that to your advantage. And if you don't have a good credit score, I suggest you work on it. There was several years where I was just like, well, I don't want to play that game. I don't have the finances, like kind of a victim mindset, you know, like I can't do that. I don't have the money. I don't need to focus on that. I don't need to go out and buy things. And I realize now how important my credit score is, also how easy it is to fix it. It takes much less work to fix it than it does to ruin it, really.
Yeah.
I've seen so many people get their score up like 100 points within like 60 days. Easy. Just like focus, be intentional with it, and know the rules, which we were given all the tools to do that. And I've never seen a company, a business, anything like this that will not only help you make money, but also mentors you and gives you the tools to work with that money. Like they show us what to do with it in order to be in a better position. They're not trying to keep us in a box. They're helping us know how to manage our money, what to do with it, how to invest, how to spend it wisely. And as far as savings goes, it's backwards. Like it's so backwards.
Yeah.
Inflation
It's
is what, like, I have a high yield savings account, which was one of the best yields that you can possibly get on a savings account in the last few years. It's like 5.1%.
yeah.
It's not making me anything. It is literally sitting there. What was inflation last year? 14?
Yeah.
I'm losing
Yeah.
money. I'm losing money by it sitting there. Unless now it has a place. I don't want to say like don't save it all. I'm not a financial advisor, but it has a place for like emergencies.
Right.
Have enough so that you can access something quickly, so that if you have an emergency, your water heater goes out, you need tires, you know, things like that, like have extra. But no, you have to let it work for you or you're literally going backwards.
Yeah.
It's not doing anything.
Both things really, like the credit score as well as savings. And I agree, like nobody should go in and put all their money in and then, like be desperate to make it work instantly. But money as well as the credit score is there to be used. Like what's a good credit score if at the end in like 10, 20, 25, 30 years, you're still in the same place? You have a great score, but you haven't gotten anywhere. So
No,
then
yeah.
at all.
Why are you doing it at all? Why do you
Yeah.
have a like the reason that you have a good credit score is so that you can utilize that credit and people trust you to loan you money so that you can work with it and make it work for you, which I think is a huge mindset shift from coming from a lack mindset, and very much so like had a really bad rap around money. I thought money was wasteful. I thought it was pointless and not really evil, but like not good. I didn't think anything good of it because I equated it to giving up time and your values and sacrificing family, because that's what I saw growing up. I saw my dad traveling and working all the time, and he was never home. And, you know, we had a nice house in the country, but I didn't have dad. Essentially, he was gone all the time. And I didn't want to do that to my family. But when you shift that and you see it more as like money is energy, money comes, money goes, it's a tool. Why would you not use the tool? Why are you going to have a saw just sitting in your garage and not use it? You need to use it. And that's how you build. That's how you build, and you get out of the situation that you're in.
Yeah. And it's only really like a pain if you're really depending on it. But once it flows and you have it and you see it as something that comes and goes and it's an energy exchange, things that I work with, then it's not that uncomfortable thing anymore, because it's just another piece of life that flows.
Yeah. I think if you can get to a point to where you know that, be grateful for what you have. If you have a warm home, you have a healthy family, you have a way to buy food, and you're okay, don't worry so much about the money, and use it to make a better situation.
Yeah. And that's really the cool thing about this business. Also, the community, I guess it's mostly the community that encourage the mindset work, the mindset shift, so much growth that happens, that needs to take place. And that's, I think, the most helpful part, because, you know, if you were to be doing this by yourself, it's so much harder when you don't know, okay, I actually need on these few spots here, actually let it come.
Yeah, it is. And I would not be in the situation I am now 2 years later, in a much different financial situation, like complete 180, if I had just started making money and not known what to do with it, and not had a mindset shift around this business, my life, how I manage things, my time and my money.
Yeah.
So it's a necessary part of the process, and it's not something that happens instantly. It's something that I still have to work on, you know?
Me too. It's a constant process. So what has the business done for you at this point? Because you just mentioned 180 rent. What's different now?
Oh God. Everything in my life is different. I think a weight has been lifted off of my relationship, because we don't have just one income there. You know, I think my husband has a little bit of hope on like, oh, I'm not going to have to just grind this out until I'm 60. There's other options. We're creating another way, and we're on the path to get to early retirement easily. We've set up investments to be able to do that, which we had no retirement, no plan, no retirement, no way. It would have been awful. We didn't know what we were doing. We had no means to like even set up something like that. So this has given us the ability to have large amounts of money to invest, to set up our early retirement, and to make sure that our kids are taken care of if anything were to happen to us, or, you know, if they want to buy a house when they're 25 and they don't have to worry about coming up with a house payment. And I don't want to spoil them, but life is hard enough. Life is hard enough. Like, we don't need to be so stressed out about providing for ourselves and not able to follow our path, not able to follow our passions and to enjoy our life. And I want my kids to have that. And they never would have had that without this. They absolutely were in a lack mindset. I was giving them a lack mindset by not being able to afford anything for them, all the extras. They wouldn't ask me. My oldest is 17. And I'm just so grateful that I turned our finances around before he moved out of the house, because he won't ask me for anything. Nothing. Not gas money, not food, not shoes that he wants. He won't ask, because he spent most of his life with me not even being able to afford it, and he knew that I couldn't. Yeah. So he's watching the shift. He's watching me talk about money and have meetings and show up and change the way that we do things, while also not living beyond our means. Like, I think it's important that it's noted, I guess. I'm making more than my husband is right now at his full-time career, but I'm not changing much. Like, we pay for our mortgage, we can afford the things that break in our house with ease, which is another just like huge, that's what most people stress out about, you know? I had my laptop, my dishwasher, and my AC went out in the same week. And it was like, no problem. I literally didn't even think twice about any of them. I was just like, okay, what do we do next? What do I need to do? Who do I need to call? Do that. I'm on with my life. And it's huge to be able to do that, especially when you have kids.
Yeah.
Like, you want them, they feed off of you, and you can't show up to parent if you're stressed out or like trying to figure all these things out.
And now you have the means to show them also how to handle money. If you don't have money, how are they supposed to learn how to handle it when it's there? And now you have the opportunity to show them, we have money, we're not throwing it out at the next shop, but we're being smart about it, which is cool. So what do you think would have happened if you had said, oh my God, I don't want to ask my family and I'm too scared to get a loan. I'm just not going to do it. What do you think where you would be?
Honestly, I would have lost my house.
Yeah.
I would have. We could not, I'm going to cry.
Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to make you cry. Yeah, well, but that just shows that this was also really, really important for you, which is why you did it. And you really turned it around.
There wasn't another option. There really wasn't. I would have been in the same place or worse. Like, it wouldn't have gotten better, that's for sure. Even if I had gone and gotten a part-time job, that wouldn't have been enough to cover the expenses that come up with teenagers, with homes, with just all the things. I think our insurance went up on our house $400 a month.
Oh, wow.
Year. So our mortgage went up $300 the year before, which is why we were in a really bad spot. Went up again $400 a month, on top of a kid who's driving, insurance, just like football fees, medical fees for him because he breaks his nose and his leg every 6 months, like every season, something, there's a hospital visit. So yeah, there would not have been, I probably would have lost my relationship, honestly, too, because I don't do well in stressful situations like that. I tend to just be like, I'll deal with it on my own. I don't want to deal with your stress too. Yeah. So I can't see that ending very well for any of us, honestly. And if I had not acted quickly, I would have been more affected by my husband's unsupport, by family and their opinions, by, just, I would have talked myself out of it. I think that fast action of like, okay, I was looking for something, I found it, now do something about it before something else happens. Because the longer you wait, it's really easy for us to say, oh, it'll be better this time, or it'll be better that time. No, it's not ever getting any better until you do something about it. It's not just going to magically, like, oh, 2 months from now, it's going to be the perfect timing and I'm going to have this money to invest and I'm going to have the time. No, it's only going to get worse. You got to do something about it.
Yeah, I agree. One more thing, and then we can call it. What would you tell someone who wants all the clarity, wants to know how the water is, wants to know what the water can do for them, wants to try it, wants to know all the details? What would you tell that person?
I think you might need to ask yourself why you think that you're ever going to know everything to begin with. I think it's really important for us to question ourselves and know that we're never going to have all the answers ever. And we're not meant to, it would be overwhelming and overload, and we can't process that much information in our life. I think if there's one thing about this business or anything in your life that feels good to you and it just keeps pulling on you, that's enough. That's all you need. You'll figure it out as you go. I was not someone who, I didn't have an idea of how I was going to make this work. There was no guarantee to it working either, but I knew that it was important enough to me. And after all the searching that I did, this was the only thing that was going to give me what I wanted. It was going to give me the time and the money. And they're worthless without each other. You have to have both.